Right then guys, we're back. We're just going to do a little talk-through video of the time-lapse that I recently did put up. So yeah, I just want to run through this with you guys, just have a bit of a chat about how we carried out, how we installed the block paving, the methods we used, why we use these methods, and so on. So yeah. Obviously this is prepped, this is on my own house, so it was prepped around 2 years ago, so I've been extremely lazy and the missus has been doing her nutting, so she finally got her, I needed some brownie points, so I cracked on this week and got the block paving finished. So we'll just have a little run through and talk about the methods we used. So when we started off, we got all our block paving in, got our block paving in, got our ACO drainage in. Once we'd done that, we wanted to install once we had installed our block edging around the perimeter and put in our ACO drainage, we filled in the area with type 1 scalpings. They're used as a sub base, they stabilise the ground, and you want to use that. We used 150mm in depth for our sub base. And then we topped it up. Some people use sharp sand. We use a product called 6mm to dust, or grano dust, named a few different things in different places. Australia call it quarter minus. But yeah, so we, as you can see, once we got our sub base in, we topped the area up with 6mm to dust. We then screeded that into place using this this bit of timber here. I had actually set a pole down the centre bit, which was set at the correct height, and it just meant when I'm screeding back, it's at the height I want it. You then compact that down, re-screed over. So once you've done that, you want to set up your string line either side of the driveway, and basically just run your lines in across the front and just work your way up. Obviously mixing the size of your blocks, but yeah, key is for me using a string line. It just helps. It just really helps. It defines. It means you know your height you're going to. So when you're running your blocks in, you can tell if you're higher or lower in the centre. Yeah, really helpful using a string line across each row. And I don't know if you can see it here. So what I generally do, I use a couple of blocks to tie the string line to either side. Then I set it on the edging, and then what you'll see here, I actually put a block either side down, which just ensures that the string line is running in the correct line. And we just continue this process, laying the blocks out row by row. It's really handy to have a labourer to basically manage the blocks coming in. So Tom manages the flow of my blocks. Basically, when you buy a mixed size pack, you'll generally have more larges and smalls than you would the mediums. So Tom just makes sure there's more larges and smalls behind me as I'm going through. So when we get to the end of the pack, we haven't got left like 20 of one size. So yeah, key is having someone. Obviously, if you don't have a labourer, you can do it yourself. It's just more time consuming. But really managing the flow of your blocks coming through. So Tom's just helped out massively doing that, and also he comes along and he'll put in the cuts as we work our way along as well. So again, having a labourer when you're doing a block pavier is really handy, but obviously if you don't, it's just more time consuming, but you can do it. So yeah, we're just working our way up row by row. We also, as you can see down here, 2 buckets. Those buckets are filled up with 6mm to dust. The larges and the mediums are generally the same size, but the smalls I generally find are like slightly thinner in depth. So you'll find you put a large down, a medium down, correct height, put your small in, and it seems to drop down a little bit. So it's worth just having a bucket just to sprinkle some dust or some sharp sand down, just so that small is at the correct height as the rest of your blocks. Obviously having a bit of lunch, carried on laying our blocks. In a minute we'll have some different angles to sort of go over as well on the shots. But yeah, Tom just managing my flow of blocks coming through. As you can see there, I've cut out the notches on either end of that bit of timber well, the blocks were 60mm deep, so I cut the notches out at 5.8 centimeters deep, so it just left the block's 2mm higher than finished level, so when we compact it at the end, it just gets it at the right height. But yeah, so I notched out either end of that bit of timber there, and that just gave me my height, so I could just screed the 6mm to dust to the correct height. Sometimes it's worth wetting it down before you compact it. If it's a bit dusty, it seems to spread out everywhere. So we carried out this process, as you can see here. You can see on my string line, the blocks are actually a couple of mil higher than the string line. That's for when I compact it at the end, it just knocks it down to the right height. It's always worth being higher than your line than lower. Definitely don't want to be lower. So yeah, I just use normal hammer. I mean, that's my 4 hammer, but just tapping them down into place. And yeah, you just carry on that process and just carry on that process through. As you can see here, Tom's managing me. This is the 6mm to dust. So this stuff here is 1/4 minus 6mm to dust, grano dust. It's pretty much the same price as sharp sand. I find it compacts better, it binds together. That's why we use it. Purple looks like type 1. Again, using my string line, you can see here perfectly. I'm just following that line down. It defines my height. It just means, let's see if I've got one in a minute. Just then, I just had to sprinkle some more dust down before I laid the next block. But it's a very repetitive process. You can see there, just literally knocking them down, nice and easy. We have way too many breaks, clearly. Coming up to the end, Tom has worked my cuts in the whole way. Another view of just where the blocks are on the height. So on here, I started putting some of the kiln dry sand in. That is because, again, these are concrete blocks. They're made in a mould, and when you go through a few packs, you'll notice that some of the blocks just aren't the same size. Only a couple of mil, but it does, it can make all the difference. So we just kind of fill in, especially along the sides as we go around here, down the sides, just so that it just kind of cements those gaps in, so the corners aren't going to sag back when you're knocking them back in. Again, always have your string line. It will just show you the correct line that you want to stay to. Again, just sanded it in at the end of the day. I only had 1 row of blocks left to put in at the front there. So I just got the sand in there before I compacted it. There you go. So here we go. So I'm doing my last set of blocks. Obviously I'm measuring out. Say for argument's sake that was 11.8 centimetres. I would take a millimetre off when I'm doing my cutting. So I'd cut. The measurement came in at 11.8, I take a millimetre off, I cut it at 11.7. So you want to measure out, mark it on your block, use a level to line it up. We use just an angle grinder. So yeah, be careful obviously, wear your respirators, your gloves, your goggles. I should be wearing steel toe caps, but I wasn't. But you should. And there you go, it should slot perfectly into place like that. Now repeat that process for all your cuts, and then I basically went around sand. There's quite a lot of dust from the cut, so you want to sweep that up and get rid of that. There we go. So there's me compacting the area. So once I completed the whole area off, I'd sanded it, done my first sanding. I then used a bit of timber or a bit of plyboard. And then I compacted on top of that. That just makes sure everything's compacted into place. You want to use like a plyboard because you don't want to be using just the whacker straight on your blocks. It could put marks there and it could put dents in it. It'd be horrible. So use a board when compacting it afterwards. So yeah, I did that, and then I cleaned the whole area down with a hose. And then what that also did is wash in a load of the sand. So you brush it in. It sits on the top sometimes. So you want to wash it in afterwards, so it all settles down. This is me just tidying up the front by putting some cold tarmac down, and that just tidied up the front of the sleepers and the block edging. So yeah, after it's washed, I sanded it down, and then to be honest, I've washed it down twice and sanded it 3 times, and this kind of gives us our final product, as you can see here. So yeah, that basically took me, I went on the basis of laying 10 square meters a day. So that was like 29 square meters, this driveway. So yeah, it took me 3 days to install the blocks after the preparation had been done. And yeah, basically that's how we did it. Like I say, the key things to take away from it are get your sub base correct, get your final base correct, use a string line when laying each row of blocks, have a labourer to manage your flow of blocks, just use simple things like a normal hammer to tap it into place. You want to have a bucket with your sand or 6mm to dust next to you, just so you can top up any low areas as you go along. Once they've all been installed, compact them using a bit of plyboard, sand, wash down, resand, wash down, resand. And yeah, that's how we installed this block paver driveway. There you can see it before, and here it is now. So yeah, happy Marley in that one. So thanks again for watching, guys. Like, comment and subscribe. Give us a little comment on whether you like it, didn't like it, how this one worked. Cheers.